Hello, poopy people. My name is Shea Dunifon. I commonly go by Lady Caca. Sometimes I go by Reclaim Shea. I have a lot of different names because I wear a lot of different hats in this industry. And I work for Pinellas County Utilities. I am an educator based out of the South Cross Bayou Advanced Water Reclamation Facility. And my job essentially is to try and make the conversations between the general public and us about what happens after the flush normal conversations, right? So a lot of what I do sometimes involves me being really creative. I get to make my own swag, get to wear the poo earrings and the shirts. But sometimes I also work with college students and the general public who aren't always as accepting about this industry or about talking about poo. So really my goal is to try and normalize these conversations, starting with the younger children, anywhere from kindergarten through 12th grade. So if you look around my office, there's all kinds of poo familia. I like to call it popular culture. I've got pillows, cute unicorn. I've got games, I've got plungers, I've got slippers, you name it, I've probably got it in here. Amazon is doing great right now, thanks to me. So how did I get into this industry? Well, if you look around my office, you'll also notice that I have a lot of plants. So you can just imagine what my house and my yard look like. They're a lot worse. But in order to understand how to grow plants, you not only have to think about the environmental conditions like the light or the soil or the amount of water, you have to think about their nutrition, right? So just like you and I, plants need nutrients. And the most common, and I would say probably the most natural and organic source of nutrients comes from poop. So as a gardener and a horticulturalist and a hobbyist of plants, I'm always thinking about how I can grow better plants and how I can make them green, how I can make them bloom, how I can make them produce fruit, right? So in order to make nutrients that are in the soil more available for plants so that plants can grow and then bloom and then fruit and then we can actually eat them, I studied all this chemistry for years and years and years. And yeah, I could just go on this crazy bout about how much I love chemistry and how much I love soils, but I promise I won't do that today. So that's kind of how I got involved unofficially with poo, other than I've been doing it my whole life, right? So it's always been kind of a normal conversation for me. And then as I got more into the chemistry side of it, then I started understanding this kind of the circularity of everything, like how nature is a looping system, right? So nature is essentially engineered to get rid of all of our waste and to recycle everything. There is no one way in and one way out, right? It's all just a giant circle. So you and I, we go to the bathroom and then that becomes the food for the macro and then the microorganisms in the soil. And then as they break down those organic molecules, they become plant available. So as they become plant available, things like my favorite, nitrate, will help your plants grow green and healthy. So again, I kind of came into this industry, not necessarily going to school to study poo, but as someone who is just a plant geek, essentially. So plant geek, like plant operations and water treatment, but also plant geek, like literally a lot of different kinds of plants here. So if I had one loadable nugget of information to share, I would reiterate the fact that everything is connected. Oftentimes, I think we don't think about how poo fits into the bigger picture, right? Everything we do is a consequence of something else. So you go to the bathroom, that becomes food for the microbes. They have their giant fecal feast in the soil. They unlock those nutrients. Those nutrients then become plant available. The plant uses them. It grows, it blooms, it produces fruit. And then either we eat it or our cows or whatever animal we're going to eat, they eat it. And then the whole thing, they go to the bathroom and the whole thing starts all over again. And so again, it's everything is connected. These nutrients are constantly cycling over and over, and they will probably continue to cycle over and over until the end of our time. So I would like people to stop thinking about poo as though it's just this one way in and out sort of kind of chain. I want people to start thinking about the circularity of it. I want them to realize that they have a role outside of just their everyday actions and just pushing that so-called waste out. But they're also, they're making food for plants. So guess what? You are a fertilizer making machine, whether you like it or not, right? So that's kind of the beauty of the environment and kind of the beauty of our role in the great natural world that we're also working so hard to protect. And if poo could talk to us, ooh, what would it say? I think the first thing, I always tell people not to be scared to look at your poo. It's actually a great indicator of your overall health. As gross as it sounds, your poo can tell you a lot about whether you're eating the right kinds of foods, you're not eating enough, are you hydrated, you eating too much grease, is there other things in there that it shouldn't be? So don't be afraid to look at your poo. And again, just because it looks icky and gross to you, it doesn't mean that that isn't food for bacteria. And so a lot of what I do in my position is have these kind of quirky, silly conversations like this. Sometimes it goes over some really well and sometimes not so much, but I guess that's just kind of the fun of the job, right? So with that, hi, my name is Shea and I poo too.